Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 27th Tehillim celebration that we are celebrating our daily gratitude Tehillim. We say one psalm a day in thanks to God for all the blessings that he showers upon us. We don't always see the blessings, but when we sit down and we count them and we think of 5 things that we're thankful for each day, our life takes on a different viewpoint. We are sponsored also by the Aneinu group, which is a fantastic Tehillim group that they twice a day get on the phone and they say some psalms for the benefit of Klal Yisrael and sick people. You can find out more about Aneinu by going to aneinu.com, Aneinu, and they are co-sponsoring with us today. Shaindel, who runs that group, she couldn't make it live today, but we are thankful for her for spreading the word about our event today and having some of their members come and join us. Our website is dailygratitudetehillim.com, and we always welcome new members. We're going to start a new round, our 28th round of One a Day Tehillim, beginning this Wednesday. So just go to our website, dailygratitudetehillim.com, and join us. At the end of our event, we'll ask some of our members to come on and share with you their joy of our group as kind of commercial messages to inspire you to come. And now I'm going to welcome Shaindel, who is our speaker today. We're so honored to have her share her life with us. She wrote a book called Rolling Rabbi, The Power of Perseverance, the story of Rabbi Yehuda Symes. That was my, okay, I know. Rabbi Yehuda Symes. So Shaindel is going to speak about this with us. And I'm going to read you a little vort from the book so you know it's coming. When a catastrophic accident completely altered Rabbi Yehuda Symes' physical existence, he was forced to rediscover his true essence. His wife, Shaindel, was forced overnight to become her husband's caretaker, cheerleader, patient advocate, and support system. Together, the heroic couple forged ahead as Rabbi Symes showed the world what it means to live al Kiddush Hashem, even in the most difficult circumstances. So here's the book, Rolling Rabbi, and it's printed by Israel Bookshop Publications. It's even available. Oh, Judith just held up a picture of the book. So we welcome everybody to get the book. It's already in my shopping cart. And anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Shaindel. And again, thank you so much for being here to share your story with us.
Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me today. And thank you to Lori for inviting me to be with you today. Mazel tov on your siyum. And I really like the words that Lori said, that we have so much to be grateful for in our life and so much to be thankful for. What I want to share with you today is something that for a while I was not so thankful for, a situation that happened in my life that really turned my whole life upside down on a dime. Everything that seemed to be going the way it was supposed to be going was suddenly catapulted, and I was really thrown onto uncharted territory. And how I learned to find those blessings in my daily life. And I want to share with you just a bit of the story. We don't have too much time today, so I'll share with you just a brief synopsis of the story. But most importantly, I want to share with you the lessons that I learned. And I think that these 2 lessons that we're going to talk about today can really help improve and everyone finding the blessings that we have in our everyday life. And there really are so many. So 12 years ago, my family was in a devastating car accident. At the time, we had 8 children. My youngest was yet unborn. It happened in June of 2020. How did it come to be? Well, we were living in Ottawa, Canada, and we had been living there for about 10 years at that point. What were we doing in Ottawa, Canada? Well, that part was part of the plan. That part was the part that we thought we had figured out. My husband was a musmach of Yeshiva Chafetz Chaim, and one of the strong teachings of that yeshiva is that once one has spent a considerable amount of time growing and learning Torah and really working on themselves to become a higher caliber person, to work on their midos, to work on their character traits, and to develop a relationship and a kesher with their rabbis and with their teachers, the time then comes after they get smicha to go out to another city, to go to another community, and to share that Torah, to share what you know with others. So when my husband and I first got married, I knew about that ideal. And we kind of, talked about what the future would look like. And we talked about living, quote unquote, out of town. I grew up in Queens, New York, which for many people, once you're in New York, that's considered in town. For people who are living in Brooklyn or Lakewood, that's still very much out of town. So my idea of out of town was something like Chicago, Miami, and, LA, big cities. My husband, though, is from St. Paul, Minnesota. Not big, very tiny, especially in the late 1960s when he was born. What he did have going for him was his family. His family recognized the importance of being there for their community and the importance of having a firm infrastructure and firm commitment to their fellow brethren. So my in-laws were very dedicated to their Jewish community, no matter how small it was. My mother-in-law ran the mikvah, which was built by my father-in-law. They had a shul in their house, in their basement. My father-in-law would go on Rosh Hashanah to all different places, Jewish store owners, to blow shofar for them if they did not come to shul. He worked for the Chevra Kadisha. He helped raise money for the day school. And as part of a family with our other cousins who still have relatives that are living in Minneapolis, Minnesota, they really worked hard and tirelessly for their community. So when I said out of town, I meant a big city. When my husband said out of town, he pretty much meant Yehupitz. So we agreed that we would not decide then and there. When the time would come, we'd figure it out together. So some years down the line, with 5 children in tow, Ottawa fit the bill. It was a driving distance to New York, 8 hours, which was one of my requirements, that I would be able to go home to my family when we wanted to, that they would be able to come visit us. I'm the oldest of my family. My sister had just gotten married like a few weeks before. So family was very important to me. And I was afraid that if we were, doing the Jewish education route with 5 kids and a growing family, we would have limited funds for air tickets. Another one of my requirements on my list was that there had to be a girls' high school. Ottawa had both. Ottawa had a boys' yeshiva high school and a girls' high school. And the 5 kids that we moved with was 1 boy and 4 girls. So I figured, okay, my son, as much as I would cry if I had to send him away, he was only in 2nd grade at the time, still didn't have to think about it yet. But I figured, okay, a son you could send away to yeshiva, girls, not so much. So we moved to Ottawa, and pretty quickly we became part of the community. And we loved Ottawa. And I think that Ottawa loved us. It was like a mutual relationship. And it was really, really pretty quick. I worked in the Torah Academy, the Torah school that my children attended, and I gave classes for women in the community.
How many layers do you think I need? So I want to go up bus riding.
In the Hillel Academy, which is now called Ottawa Community School, which was the community school, which meant that at the time there were close to 500 students from grades K to 8, and my husband taught multiple grades. Pretty quickly, he became the Pied Piper. The students would follow him wherever he went. He would come to school in the morning. They would flock to the car. They would surround him at recess time, and they really him for guidance.
In Ottawa,
Some of the students one day at recess hiding in the bathroom. And it wasn't because of the sub-zero weather in Ottawa. They weren't hiding because of the snow. They were hiding because they were studying for their Chumash test that was happening after recess, and they wanted to make their teacher proud. That was the kind of relationship that he had with his students. But it was more than that. We had them in our home. We had them for Shabbos as groups with their friends. We had them for Shabbat meals together with their parents. We had Sukkot parties. Every night of Sukkot was another class. We had Hanukkah parties. Every night of Hanukkah was another class. His students became our family, and our family became one and one with the students. They all knew my kids' names. My kids knew all of them, and we really grew from that. Shabbos afternoon found our home open to teenage boys in the community who would come. I would wake up from my Shabbos afternoon nap, find boys sprawled on my couch having Twizzlers and chips, enjoying Shabbos party. Shabbos afternoon between Mincha and Marav at Sudash Shlishi time, a table full of boys would follow my husband back to spend time with him and have Sudash Shlishit. We were growing and we loved it. We really felt that we were serving our purpose, and we felt that this is what we had really prepared ourselves for all the years. We had said we would go out and we would make a difference and we would grow from it. And that all seemed to be proceeding along plan. We had some other Canadian children. After the 5 that we moved with, we had 3 Canadian children. And it was, I was expecting my 9th. In between that time, there was one little glitch. The glitch was that girls' high school that I told you about, that we had hoped for our then 4 daughters, which now actually I have 6 daughters, closed down. So when my oldest daughter was in 7th grade, the school closed down. When she graduated 8th grade, we had to send her away for high school. We sent her to Montreal because it's 2 hours away. She was able to board and come home for Shabbos. Our next daughter was just about a grade behind her, and we had to decide, would we send her to Montreal also? Was that the right decision for her? Or would we pick a new school for her? At that point, I had a sister and brother-in-law living in Rochester, New York, because my brother-in-law, Eliezer Lever, is the principal of Ora Academy, the girls' high school in Rochester. So we decided that we were going to check out the school, and we felt that it was a good fit for her because then she could be with family. It was a further distance away. It was 4 hours away, not 2, but there was family that won out. So on the weekend of June 20th, 2020, when Malka had finished 8th grade, we went down to Rochester, New York, a 4-hour drive from Ottawa, to celebrate Shabbos with our family, to meet the people of the community that would be Malka's classmates, and to see the Ora Academy Shabbaton graduation on Sunday afternoon, just to get a feel for the community so they wouldn't be strangers come September. Shabbos was uneventful. We had a nice time. And as we headed back home Sunday evening with plans for the summer, and we stopped for a mincha tefillah at the side of the road, I could not have imagined that evening would have been the last time that my husband would be standing on his own 2 feet. Because just a couple hours later into our trip, a deer crossed the road. And in my fear and in my wanting to protect my family, I was the one who was driving. I swerved the car to avoid hitting the deer because I had heard horror stories of what happens when a deer comes crashing through the windshield. I wanted to avoid that at all costs. What I didn't realize, though, was that we had flipped several times and we had it landed right side up, perpendicular to the road. I'll spare you all the drama for now, but there was a lot of drama. But thank God, Baruch Hashem, everyone was okay. The kids got out of the car. They helped each other out of their respective seatbelts, booster seats, car seats, proper restraints for their ages and weights. And medical personnel was instantly on the highway. They wanted to evacuate me to a medical center for treatment. They realized I was expecting, even though I was in shock and I didn't. And as I insisted that I cannot leave my children on the side of the highway, they insisted that I can't stay on the side of the highway. And we were all taken to Watertown, New York, to the nearest hospital center to be evaluated. Obviously, my main concern at that point, once I saw that my children were okay, was for my husband. What was going on with him? Was he okay? Did he sustain any injuries? I was talking to him, so I guess he was okay. The window was open, but what I didn't realize is that the window wasn't open. There was no window anymore. So I was talking to him and he was talking to me and he was saying something about being in a lot of pain and not being able to move. But I told him it's okay because the medical personnel were there and they were going to help evacuate him. When I got to the hospital, I kept asking if there was any word on my husband, any word. And they kept avoiding my question. Finally, one of the nurses says, yes, we have some information for you. And I said, so tell me what happened. And they said, well, he has a spinal cord injury. And at that point, I didn't know very much about spinal cord injury. I've learned way too much about spinal cord injury at this point. But at that point, I was blessedly clueless. But the one thing I did know was that it means that it affects walking, doesn't it? So I asked the nurse, I said, can he walk? And that's when she really didn't look at me. She avoided any eye contact. So her eyes lowered to the ground. She's staring at the floor, shaking her head from side to side and just whispering, no. And at that point, my life was completely turned upside down. At that point, I realized that there was no going back to yesterday. There was no going back to 10 minutes ago, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, when everything seemed so peaceful. And at that point, I had two choices that I had to make. Two choices. One was easy, one was hard. One was the preferable choice, but I'll tell you what I chose. Choice one was to throw the pillow over my head, put the blanket over me, hide and disappear, shut down and tune out and ignore everything that was going on. Hope it was just a huge nightmare, wait for it to all go away. It sounded very inviting. The other choice was a lot more complicated, you see. I had 8 children and 1 on the way and needed their parents. I didn't have that luxury of shutting down and ignoring it all. My children were counting on me. There were children waiting for me on the other side of the curtain, wanting to know how their father was, trying to be reassured that their father was not going to die. And I needed to be strong for them. Sometimes the easiest decisions are the hardest decisions. Sometimes the hardest decisions, those are the ones we have to choose because they seem right. So I chose to go the hard route, and that was quite a route. It was pretty much uncharted territory, very, very new for all of us, and also in a way new for the people that we were interacting with. It was new for our family, it was new for our friends, and to some degree, it was even new to the medical system that we were entrusting our care for. My husband had a C4, C5 injury, which is a very high level, complete paralysis, quadriplegia, all 4 limbs, needing complete assist and wanting to live at home. So that was our battle for the next 6.5 years. How were we going to give my husband the best quality of life that he could have and still be who he thought he was and who we thought he was? We shed many, many tears because all we wanted to do was to be an Eved Hashem, to serve Hashem. And how could he serve Hashem in this capacity? He was a teacher. He thrived on walking and pacing and flinging his arms around in the classroom and interacting with people. Couldn't do that anymore, could he? What does Eved Hashem mean? What does it mean to serve Hashem in this capacity? And that was a whole learning process with lots of consultation and crying from our rabbis, our teachers, and our mentors. We slowly realized that we'd have to take this one step at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second a day at a time, and see what this new life meant. And my husband persevered. There were so many times where I said that he could have just sat in his wheelchair in the side of a room. Nobody would have faulted him. It would have been okay. And he also could have said the words, "but I can't." And everyone would have completely understood because he couldn't. It was finally after many weeks and months of therapy where he was able to use his shoulder muscles to bring his arms up, to be able to bring his hands to his mouth, to putting his hands to his eyes, to be able to say Shema on his own. He needed people. We had this wonderful Tehillim brigade. People came every single Tefillin brigade who came every single day to put Tefillin on him and help him daven. He couldn't turn the pages of his siddur by himself for months. And when he was finally able to be self-sufficient in that way, he rejoiced. The atmosphere in the room when he finally was able to reach his hand high enough on his own to cover his own eyes from Shema, I said I had to turn away. I couldn't bear to look. I couldn't bear to watch. I felt like I was intruding on something so private, so intense, and so personal. It was like Moshe Rabbeinu standing at the burning bush. There was just such an aura of holiness. How a man who was tried to the nth degree was still closing his eyes, shutting out the world around him, and admitting and in testimony to his faith in Hashem for everything that comes his way. Everything that he had, he struggled for. Everything that he had to work hard for. And there were numerous illnesses. There were step forwards, there were step backwards, and he had to go at it again and again and again. Anything that he accomplished, which was a lot, it was beyond anything that the doctor said that he would be able to do. At first, they reassured us that we should be glad that he's not a truck driver, because then he would lose his livelihood. They said if he's a teacher, a father, a husband, he would be able to do that. It would just look different. And that was always our refrain. It might look different, but it's still the same. The goals were the same, to serve Hashem in whatever capacity that one can with what they've given at that moment of time. There were times when he kept on going at it. And I looked at him one day and feeling so frustrated. And we were a team. It was a good thing, because days that he got down and I was still up, or days that I was down and he was up, we both would have gone down at the same time. It wouldn't have turned out well. So one day when I was feeling completely frustrated, I looked at him, I said, Yehuda, when will you give up? And he looked at me and he said, never. And that's when I took a deep breath again. I said, okay, we're doing this. And we kept at it again and again and again. But what did I learn from this? I learned that although I might not have signed up for this, in fact, that's something that I had said from the day one of the accident. I did not sign up for this. This is not what I thought my life was going to look like. It wasn't on my to-do list. It wasn't on my bucket list. Nobody asked me, who wants to be the wife of a quadriplegic? I didn't jump up and down and volunteer myself. I'm a teacher. I stand in the front of the room. I'm used to students going, ooh, me, pick me. I did not say pick me, or so I thought, until I heard something which might sound simplistic, which is probably something that I knew, but I think it was all in the timing of when I heard it and how I heard it that intensified and made something more solid within me. And it became my mantra till this day. A friend of mine told me that there was going to be a video presentation at one of the local institutions, and it was entitled Coping in Challenging Times. And she thought it'd be a great idea for me to go and hear this video presentation from the Chafetz Chaim Heritage Foundation. And I said to her, Rachel, I am the video for challenging times. I don't need to spend a night out hearing about challenging times. Well, she won. She got me out of the house, and I went and I resigned myself to a boring evening. What I didn't realize was that I was going to get a lightning bolt of inspiration, because the speaker on broadcast said that before a neshama, before the soul is put into the body, the soul is shown a video, so to speak, of what their life is going to be like. And it gets to see all of its choices and all of its circumstances, whether positive or negative, happy or sad, joyous or the opposite. And they are asked, you agree? This is what you sign up for? And the neshama shakes its head fervently, up and down, 100%. Yes, I agree. Because I understand that my neshama's job is to fulfill my role in becoming the best that I can be, and that all of those events that are going to happen to me are going to be what makes me who I am and are going to help me accomplish that goal. I need those things. Yes, I want that. And when I heard that, I stopped. And I don't remember anything else that went on the rest of the evening, because I just sat there and I said to myself, I signed up for this. Before I was born, my neshama knew that this was going to happen. And my neshama knew that its role down here on earth was to be the best Shaindel Symes that I could be. And the way that that would happen was through this catastrophic event. This event that I looked at as having not signed up for, this event that I looked at as something that happened to me, all of a sudden became something that I chose and that I signed up for, that I agreed to, and it was a decision. And that totally changed my mindset, because now it wasn't something that happened to me. It wasn't just bombarding me. It was something that I chose. And at that point, I dug deep inside myself and I said, well, then, by golly, if I chose this, I'm going to do this right. I had no idea what it meant. I didn't know what doing it right meant, but I knew that I had to give it my all. And that kept me going even until today. We have events that happen to us. We don't understand why they happen to us. I still can't tell you why it happened to me. Us, our family, it was a journey. It wasn't just my husband's journey. It was a family journey. We did this together. Our children, our friends, our family, without whose support we would not have survived until this day, 12 years later. And I'm forever indebted to them and grateful to those people who helped us in every possible way to make sure that we didn't fall. There was lots of chances to fall, but they didn't let us. And I realized together with my husband, together with our family, that we do sign up for things. And sometimes we think that there are things that we would rather have or things that we'd rather want or things that are better for us. But Hashem in his ultimate wisdom understands that this is what we need right now to become who we need to be. And the way that we can serve Hashem and be an Eved Hashem is through the way that he sees fit, the way that he sends us situations and he sees fit for us to go through those challenges and to grow from those experiences. My husband survived the accident by nearly 7 years. 7 years of growth, 7 years of intensity, 7 years of some really, really deep lows, but at the same time, very high highs. The elation, the joy that we were able to feel at events, we had weddings, we had all kinds of family occasions, milestones that we were able to celebrate in. They were real. The joy was real. We understood now what life meant. And that helped us to appreciate everything before. My husband loved nature before. It was after nature, just taking a walk on one of the nature paths in Ottawa. And he just felt so alive and so grateful and so appreciative. And whereas he felt that his situation was changed, and how would he be an Eved Hashem? How would he serve Hashem if he can't be in the classroom? We realized afterwards that, in fact, the classroom was really a limiting situation for him, because in a classroom, you could only teach 25 students at once. And at most, how many classes could you have a day? 6 or 8? So you have 200 students. Well, by this point, I've lost track of how many students my husband has, because he started a blog called Rolling Rabbi, which was the beginning of the book. And on the blog, he was able to share his thoughts, share his emotions, share his feelings, give chizuk to others, give chizuk to himself. And what a role model he was for simchas hachayim, love of life, emuna bitachon, faith, the face of adversity. And the world became his stage. The world became his classroom through his blog, through his book, through us talking about him here today. In fact, when he did pass away, and we gathered at the cemetery a year after he passed for the unveiling, our family and friends came from far, from Israel, from other places. And my sister-in-law asked me if I knew about the interview that my nephew had done once on one of his visits from Israel. And I said, no, not really. I don't remember. So she said, well, her son, my nephew, had actually had to interview somebody for a school report. And he chose to interview my husband. And one of the questions apparently that he had asked him, which is really a very brave question to have asked him, because it was a question that I could not ask him myself. I was too afraid to broach the topic. He asked him, what do you want written on your matzeva? What do you want written on your tombstone? And unbeknownst to me, my husband said, Eved Hashem, servant of Hashem. As we unveiled the monument, I burst out crying, because the first line that we had engraved that I had chosen was, Ani avdecha ben amasecha. I am your servant, just as my husband would have wanted. We don't know what Hashem has in store for us, but we do know that we have so much capacity and so much potential inside of us. And the events that happen to us and the things that come our way are there to tap into those kohos, those strengths, and to make us closer to Hashem. So at this time of this Tehillim gathering, I give you a bracha that you should have the koach, you should have the strength to go about your daily lives, continue making siyumim on Tehillim and other wonderful things, continue to grow, continue to be inspired, continue to inspire others in your connection with Hashem. Thank you so much.
That was so beautiful, Shaindel. Absolutely. I'm sure most of the people here are like me with tears halfway in their eyes, and it was so touching, so inspiring. I really thank you for your words of wisdom and having the bravery to share your important story with the world. And I appreciate that you wrote a book to, so many people complain. And when they read a story like yours, God willing, they're going to start counting their blessings. That their challenges are not as challenging, maybe, as yours. Because if you can come through your challenges with your attitude, it inspires us to come through our challenges with your attitude. Would anybody like to make a comment or a question? Just come off mute and share a comment or a question.
Hello?
Hi, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sylvia. I'm part of the New York Aneinu group. And I just want to thank Shaindel. It was such a beautiful presentation, and the points that she brought out really struck home. I have my own going on in my life, and I needed a reminder of how to carry myself through, and this was just the perfect reminder.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to join in?
Hi, thank you, Shaindel. That really hit home to me too. Yeah, my husband had not quite the same thing. He fought cancer for 2 years really badly, and I kept asking myself the same questions. And I also have my own disabilities, and so I've been asking these questions. And thank you for helping me to understand about the neshama and everything. That really struck home. Thank you so much.
We have a chat from Yehudit that says, thank you for sharing your inspiring story. I hear it with tears and with gratitude to hear your wisdom. May Hashem bless you and your family with all good. Beautiful. I want to know if anybody else wants to share something, because then I want to ask people who are members of the Daily Gratitude Tehillim group to come on and say why they like the group, to hopefully get people to join us. But yes, the recording will be available. Anybody else want to say some words to Shaindel before we officially thank her? Yes, Reiki, come on.
It was a very inspirational speech. She did a great job, and she was very strong, which Hashem wants us. And of course, Amunah and B'tachon were really, really great. I just want to ask her one thing. What is Shaindel's maiden name?
My maiden name is Vinitsky. I grew up in Queens.
Oh, no, I was thinking of something. Okay. But you did a great job, Shaindel.
Thank you.
I mean, you had to go through all that. But this is something in a smaller degree that we all go through something, and you were a trooper. What can I tell you? Trooper, you made me cry, and you should have notice from your wonderful children. You should everything good from now on. Everything should be good for you. Everything should be good.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you.
I just want to have a disclaimer that, I'm speaking now after it's been 12 years. So I know I sound passionate and meaning now. I think even when I heard that speech, probably was 11 years ago, I meant it then. But again, it's just something that I've just keep reminding myself, and I keep saying it again and again. And there's so many levels of strengthening it and so many levels of connecting it from heart to mind and making that heart and mind connection. So it's not an instantaneous process by any stretch of the imagination. It was something that has grown on me, and I hope will continue to grow on me and give me strength. Sharing my story does give me strength, because as much of certain parts of the story are over, it's still an ongoing saga, so to speak. So really just, thank you for listening. And just again, like, not here to rate. Everyone has issues, everyone has challenges, and it's not a race, it's not a game, it's not like a contest of whose challenge is harder than others. Each of our challenges are tailor-made for ourselves. And when I hear something, like, I had a friend who called me and she was about to start complaining about like her overflowing dishwasher, and then she said, never mind, I can't tell you about that, you're going through so much more. And I'm like, no, but please, I'm a person. I also would be upset when the dishwasher overflows. I'm human. Like, it's not a contest. It's not like, I still want to be real. I still want to be normal. I still have the same, we all have the same challenges. We're all human. We're all grappling with the same kinds of things.
Really beautiful, Shaindel. I just, every word you spoke, and the fact that you can speak after so many years with such emotion and passion and still move your audience to tears, that really says a lot. And I have heard that we do pick our challenges before we come into this world. And it is an enlightening concept that we know it's for our soul's growth. And I did wonder when you actually went to that lecture and was able to kind of reframe your life. So it was about a year after the accident?
Definitely within the first 2 years. I don't remember exactly. I know where we were living at the time. I know we were living at our, at the first, at our original home before we moved. And I remember my son was already born. He was born 3 months after the accident. So probably about a year later, I'm guessing.
I imagine it brought the siblings and you very close, because you had to have some kind of teamwork going on.
Oh yeah, I'm saying my siblings, my husband's siblings. Yeah, I mean, everybody was there for us thick and thin. It was just beyond human comprehension. Like, at the drop of a hat, at a crisis, and there were many, and always at the wrong times. But
okay, we have a thank you from Dina. Thank you so much for sharing your story. May Hashem continue to give you and your family the strength to inspire all of Klal Yisrael to Tiskul mitzvot.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Shaindel Stark. I actually read your book, and it's an honor for me to hear you personally speak about your challenges, and it really I think it gave a lot of people chizuk reading it, and strength to know that they can get through challenges, maybe not as difficult as yours, but Hashem gives you the kayach to get through it, and was very awe-inspiring and moving to read it, and now to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
We have another thank you, Shaindel from Sippy. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Your strength is a source of inspiration.
Thank you.
I just want to say a big yashikayach. I'm also speaking through my tears. I was crying through the whole thing. I mean, I tuned in late, but for a minute I tuned in, I was crying. I'm just wondering if there's any, and also with tremendous admiration, needless to say. I'm just wondering, Shaindel, if there's anything you could actually describe to us as a learning process, like what you did when you were down. How did you get yourself back up? Like, is there anything concrete or something about the inner process that you could share with us that would help everybody for whatever challenges they're going through?
Sure. A few things. Number one, I tried to focus on what was in front of me right then and there. I remember there was during one of the challenging times, a friend of mine called me, and she was checking in on me to see how things are doing. And I told her, I was pretty honest with her what was going on. And she said, Shaindel, what are you going to do? Your kids are coming home at 4:30. And I said to her, Tzivi, it's 4:15. I'm doing 4:15. And then I'm going to do 416. And when I'm done 416, I'm going to do 417. I'm not up to 430. There were really some days where it was like moment by moment, just getting through the moment, getting through that time, and just being in the present, because anything bigger than that or anything beyond the present was just too encompassing and too overwhelming. That was one thing that worked sometimes, most times. And then another technique I had was, depending what was going on or depending on how I was feeling or how I was doing, there was different psukim or different chazals or different sayings that I would just repeat to myself, like kind of like a mantra, again and again and again. And again, it was throughout the years, wasn't only or always the same pasuk. Very often it was lishiwascha ki bisi Hashem, ki bisi Hashem lishiwascha, Hashem lishiwascha ki bisi. It was just a prayer on my lips. Hashem, I turn to you, I turn to you, I turn to you. And it was just that. I was actually on the advice of, our Rabbeim, saying, like, besides for Siddur talk, beside for, like, Shacharis, Mincha, which, the more obligatory times of davening, there's that relationship and communicating with Hashem throughout the day. And I really found that during the day, I would find myself talking to Hashem, talking out loud to myself, even sometimes, just giving myself that pep talk, making that connection to Hashem. Hashem, do this. Hashem, I need you now. And really, it just gave strength to be able to say those words and just to recognize, like, I can't do this on my own. You gave this to me. Help me. I'm turning to you because there's nobody else that can help. Those are two of the top that come to my mind.
Thank you for the question, Chaya, and thank you for your answer, Shaindel. Anybody else? Okay, Shaindel, if you want to go, you can go, but we appreciated it. We're going to have a few people share their experience with the Daily Gratitude Tehillim group. If you want to stay on, you're welcome to stay on. Let me just, I'm not sure if I said it, but our goal is to count our blessings, what Hashem has given us, so many blessings, and by concentrating on gratitude daily, it just sets the tone for our day. And our gratitude psalm can be said anytime during the day, and there's no obligation to say our psalm of the day, because people have enough obligations in this world, and we don't want this to be a pressure group. So if people sign up to be part of our Daily Gratitude Tehillim group, they can say 5 out of the 150 Tehillim over 150 days, or they can say all 150. It's very no rules for this group. No rules, except you can't put pressure on yourself. So
Thank you again. Thank you again. So nice to meet you all. Hatzlacha.
Thank you for coming, Shaindel. Okay, ladies who are here, I assume you're all ladies, even though we do now invite men to come to our Daily Gratitude Tehillim group. Is there anyone who wants to come on and say what they get out of the Daily Gratitude Tehillim group? I think Judy was going to come on. Judy, you have to unmute yourself. Judy, do you want to unmute yourself? Okay, while she's doing that, anybody else? Heiki's going to say something. Okay, go ahead.
I am 90 years old, 90 plus, and I was very, very active all my life, running around, taking care of the kids, taking care of the grandchildren, but I can't really run around anymore. So it's really a pleasure to say the Tehillim and to learn it be'ilun, because I want to know what I'm saying. And there's so much to learn in David wrote so much in that Tehillim, and there's so much to learn, to understand. It isn't easy to understand. And I really occupy most of my time with Tehillim, with daily gratitude. I look forward to getting the the daily gratitude, email from you. But even if I don't get it, Lori, I keep on saying it. And I don't wait for you to say, if you have time, I make time, because this is what I'm doing. And that's what God, Hashem did. And it really started a long time ago that I lost my husband. He died of a heart attack. He was 47 years old. It was sudden, and I had children, and it was a shock because it was a sudden thing. And I also, like Shaindel said, I spoke to Hashem. I never spoke to him before. I used to daven when I got a chance, but kids, you don't have all that much time. And I did speak to Hashem loud and clear. I said, look what you did. You took the love of my life. I said, and now, I said, I'm leaving it up to you. You got to help me. You did this to me. And I know that you don't want to do things like that. So I said that when we sit in Shiva, and I said, look at the 3 girls sitting Shiva there. And I want you to, my request is that you take care of them. They should marry wonderful, wonderful husbands, have beautiful children, all Shomer Torah and mitzvahs, please Hashem. And as I said, he, thank God, there's always something wrong, if nothing's perfect. But I do have a wonderful family that's helping me. I had also young parents at that time. And I was able to get the help I needed, money, this, I didn't have to worry about things like that. So it's not like it's the same as Shaindel, because it happened a long time ago. This happened January 11th, 1979, he passed. And he was a very good man, and I couldn't understand why Hashem, I said, Hashem, why did you take him? He's so wonderful. And he answered me that there's a lot of things for you to do here. He did his job, but which.
Thank you, Becky.
I don't
That
know. I
is
think
so,
I
special of you sharing. I really, really
Yeah.
appreciate you and
So-
appreciate you in the group so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, Lori. So
Thank
if you miss a day, sometimes I remind you, but then I said somebody else will remind you, because I know there's someone else that.
It's okay. I like lots of reminders if I forget to send out the reminder. Okay, thanks. We're going to call on Bonnie next.
Hi, hello, Lori, and hello, everybody. My name is Bonnie. I'm Jacksonville, Florida. I first learned about the Daily Gratitude Tehillim when you had the Zoom as the theme for your last round. So this is going to be the completion of my first round, and I love it. I read in English. My Hebrew is pretty poor, so I do it so I can understand it more. And I do a little bit of Tehillim, like we have a monthly, we have a weekly, etc. And then a couple of things that really struck me in a good way about the Daily Gratitude Tehillim is, one, the great majority when I'm asked to do Tehillim is for Refuah Shlema, which is of course super important. But I love the idea that I could take a step back and know, wait a minute, let me name at least 5 things I'm grateful for. It could be very minor. It could be a duplication. My family, I'm always saying I'm grateful for. It could be something new. It could be that we have a beautiful sunny day in Florida, or it could be anything that comes to my mind. But I like the idea that I have to stop and pause and say what I'm grateful for before I do it. I also like there was no pressure. It turns out I think I've made nearly every day the Tehillim, I think maybe every day, but just in case, nearly every day. So I'm happy about that, but I like that there's no pressure. And if I don't think about it until the next day, I could do it the next day or not. I like, Lori, that you send out the readings. Sometimes I look at them, not always, but just to get an idea if something looks a little more complex and I want to understand it more. And just makes me feel good to be part of a greater, nationwide, or maybe there are people here, outside of the Americas. It's just nice to be a part of that. And like I said, put a positive spin on the Tehillim and feel it in a different way, like a grateful way versus Refuah Shlema. Again, very, very important, but it's just nice to have a different perspective. So thank you. And I'm looking forward to the next round.
That is so lovely. And Bonnie, it's really exciting to hear that you just went through your first round. And I'm in the process of creating round 28 gratitude Tehillim calendar, so people can print off the calendar in case it's a holiday or they don't have their emails, they know which day it is. So that will be on our website. And thank you for sharing, Bonnie. Is there anybody else who would like to contribute? And we'll take one more person if somebody wants to share. Anybody? No? Okay. Thank you all for coming. It was a pleasure. It's very inspiring. I look forward to going through the next round of Tehillim with you and thanking Hashem for all the blessings he showers upon us every single day. And now I guess we can thank him for all of the challenges he gives us also, because they're tailor-made for us. And that's what we got out of today. So thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.